She was born in a small village wrapped in red doors and the scent of rain-soaked earth. The people there measured time by rhyme of drums, by harvest seasons, by laughter echoing through cow tears. For the first few years of her life, Amara's laughter was loudest. Her smile could soften even the hardest face. Everyone said she had melody in her soul. But one year, the laughter stopped. Something happened. Something no one spoke about. Adults whispered. Children stared. Amara began to shrink into herself. The spark in her eyes dimmed until it was just a faint glimmer. Like a candle struggling against the rain, she no longer ran to the mango trees or joined the songs of adults. She sat alone, quiet and distant, as if a wall had grown inside her heart. People said she had become strange. Some told her to pray harder, others told her to forget. But no one asked her why the light had gone out. No one noticed that she has forgotten how to smile. The seasons dawned. Amara grew taller, older and quieter. She learned to hide her trembling behind small nose and quick smile that never reached her eyes. At school, she sat by the window, watching those frozen sunbeams, pretending to listen. When the teacher asked questions, she gave perfect answers in a hollow voice. Everyone thought she was fine. Inside, she was a silence wrapped in skin. Nights were the hardest. The world outside would sleep, but her thoughts stayed awake, shadows whispering of the moments her childhood cracked. The memory didn't show itself in pictures, only in feelings. A sudden chill, a pounding heartbeat, the weight of fear pressing down until she could barely breathe. She would clutch the blankets and bite her lips to keep from crying out. Somewhere deep inside, she decided that smiling was dangerous. Smiling meant to open the door again to trust, and trust had betrayed her once. Years passed like that. Each day, a rehearsal in pretending, she finished school, left the village, and went to the city for work. The city lights promised forgetting. They told her she could start over, but forgetting is not healing. It's only silence with new clothes. The loneliness followed her across every street and crowd was. Sometimes she caught glimpses of herself in shop windows, a young woman with strong shoulders and tired eyes, and wondered who she had become. The girl who used to chase butterflies had turned into a shadow, trying not to exist again. One evening, as rain fell like soft applause on the terrace, she wandered into a small church to escape the storm. Inside, a group of women were singing. Not the Polish hymns she remembered from childhood, but broken, even songs that trembled with trust. Their voice rose and fell like waves. Some cried openly while they sang. It was the sound of hearts learning how to breathe again. Amara stood by the door, soaked and shivering. Something in those voices reached the quiet place inside her. It wasn't the words, it was the permission to feel. For the first time in years, tears slipped down her face. No one turned to stay or rush her. A woman simply placed a warm hand on her shoulder and kept singing. That night, Amara cried until her chest ached. But beneath the ache was a strange relief, as if the rain inside her had finally found a river. From that evening, healing didn't happen all at once. It began in small, stubborn steps. She started journaling, just a few words each day about what she remembered, what she felt, what she wished she could say. Some entries were only questions. Why me? Will it ever stop hurting? Others were singing sentences. I am still here. The more she wrote, the more her silence loosened in grips. She discovered that pain shrinks when it's given language. One page after another, she began to make sense of her stories, not to erase it, but to understand that surviving it meant she was already stronger than the storm. Months later, she met an elderly neighbor, Mama Kemi, who tended a small garden behind the apartment building. Mama often passed by, watching the old woman coax life from dry soil. One afternoon, Mama Kemi offered her a tiny pot with a struggling plant. It looks dead, Mama said. The old woman smiled. Water it anyway. Amara did. Day after day, she poured more drops of water and whispered to it without realizing she was whispering to herself. Grow, please grow. Slowly, the first green shoot appeared. When the flower finally bloomed, bed popped against the sun. Something inside Amara bloomed again. She began volunteering at a nearby center to help young girls who had faced different kinds of suffering. At first, she only cleaned tables and arranged chairs, even afraid to speak. But listening to their stories felt like listening to the echoes of her own past. She realized that, even if her smile was still hard to return, her voice could help others find theirs. So she started reading out loud some of her journal entries, never the details, only the journey, the fear, the numbness, the slow recovery of self. The girls listened with wide eyes and trembling hands. When she finished, one of them whispered, "You sound like me." And I understood then that surviving wasn't just about mending herself, it was about listening labs for others still walking through darkness. Her days became fuller. She painted again, something she had not done since childhood. Bright colors, yellows, blues, reds, spills across the canvases. Each stroke was a heartbeat. Each painting was proof that beauty could grow from broken soil. There were still nights when the old memories knocked on the door, but she had learned to answer with gentleness instead of fear. She would light a candle, breathe deeply, and remind herself that was then, this is now, and I've survived. Slowly, she began to smile again, not the polite, practiced smile of survivor, but the deep, effortless smile of some who had made it dark and learned to walk through it. Her co-workers noticed. Strangers smiled back. The walls seemed to reflect the light she had finally allowed to escape. One afternoon, she returned to her village for the first time in years. The same red dust rose beneath her feet. The same mango tree stood tall. Children laughed in the distance. The air smelled of rain, and for a moment she felt the weight of all the years between who she had been and who she had become. She knelt beneath the tree, touched the soil, and whispered a quiet thank you to the little girl who had once endured the silence so that the woman could now speak. In that moment, she realized that healing doesn't erase pain. It only transforms it into strength. The past would always be part of her story, but it no longer defied her. It had become the backdrop against which her courage shone brighter. And I eventually started a small foundation, nothing on ground yet, just a gathering of women who met every week to share stories, to sing, to remember that brokenness is not the end. She called it the voice of melody, because, as if she told them, every voice carries its own song, even the ones that once cried in silence. People came from nearby towns to listen. Some cried, So I smiled. Many simple sat in peace. The community began to change. Conversations that had been hidden in shame started to find daylight. Girls learned that they were not alone. Mothers learned that listening can heal. Men learned that strength is gentleness. Years later, a journalist visited her and asked how she had managed to rebuild her life. I thought for a long moment before action. I remember that light still exists. She said, I stopped asking why it happened. I started asking what I can do with it now. Pain taught me empathy. Silence taught me the power of words, and finding my smile again taught me faith. She looked around the room, filled with laughter, with young girls painting and writing, with music spinning from open windows. See, she said softly, the smile was never truly gone. It was waiting for me to come home to myself. Outside, the evening sun dipped low over the red earthen horizon. The wind carried a scent of rain and hibiscus. Somewhere a child laughed. The sun bright, familiar and free. Amma closed her eyes and smiled, a rich smile that read the depth of her soul. She knew the journey was never about forgetting pain. It was about transforming it into hope. And so she lived. Not perfectly, not without scars, but fully. Each morning, she greeted her reflection and whispered, "You made it. You found yourself again." Her smile became her testimony, her gift to the world, a reminder that even in the darkest corners, light waits patiently for the courage to open one's eyes.